Good morning. Almost forgot the sound check this morning. I actually did it when it first turned to 444, and then I quickly did one and it worked. Anyway, I'm here. Good morning. I've been sitting here waiting and I'm forgetting something that's very important. As I was in the meditation room this morning, actually for a long time, the prayer that has gone up from my lips to our Creator has been to set the people free. And this morning I held the globe in my hand, as I often do, though not every day. And I actually turned the lights on in the meditation room, which I don't usually do. Usually it's just the candles. But I spun the globe, and as I was saying, set the people of the world free. Let the people be free. Anyway, that is a very important prayer. And then I come to the computer and I read Tut's messages, as I often do before I do the videos, and the message was honor them, love them, help them, heal them, but above all else, Ron, free them. Everyone, of course, the universe. And again, that's from Mike Dooley's Tut's message that I get Monday through Friday. And then he always puts a little PS in. And his PS is, they'll return, Ron, one day, somewhere over the rainbow or in times without space. And then they'll show you all the pictures they took, play some weird music, and finally, they'll thank you. Crazy love. And then I saw a headline. Let me just flip that on here. I saw a headline that someone had posted on my Facebook page. And I had clarity as to what I'm going to talk about this morning, and I've not even gotten to the title yet. Did you notice that? But the headline was, Iceland forgives mortgage debt of its population. And that was a YouTube video, and I didn't watch the video because it's in Icelandic or Norwegian, whatever the language is there, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's when I actually came up with the title for today's talk. Let me just turn around here. 2012. Reading the Signs of the Times. A mortgage is a death pledge. Literal agreement. Or literal meaning. It has been the method of enslavement of the world's people to the international bankers. And now the blurb from that video that I just mentioned about Iceland. The government of Iceland has forgiven the mortgage debt for much of its population. This nation chose a very different way of stopping the crisis from the rest of the European countries. It decided to hear the requests of the population and to put politicians and bankers on the bench of the accused 3 years after their financial excesses would sink one of the most prosperous economies in 2008. This is an important sign of things coming fast. More will follow. A mortgage literally is a means of enslavement. And lest you think it's just the people of the world that have been enslaved, the very nations of the world have been enslaved by the international bankers. It is a death agreement. In the United States, right after the Great Depression, the United States was literally bankrupt as a corporate government. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, he put the people as collateral, the people of the United States up as collateral to pay back the bankers. So the bankers literally owned owned the people and all of the people's property. And it was the legal setup followed, and they continued this master plan of world domination from the United States spreading out to the rest of the world. But the plan was actually laid in the Vatican, one of the three city-states, probably the most powerful of the three city-states, because it's the intellectual, quote, spiritual head of world religions, which pits us against them, always creates the conflict, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. We're sinners. We're sinners. We're sinners. That's the message of the church. We're sinners. Debt slaves. Debt slaves. Debt slaves. We own your soul. We know who you are, but we own your soul. And there's nothing you can do about it. And then the central bankers of London and Europe devised this commercial plan to enslave the whole world. And the United States military was used from World War II onward to help mandate it throughout the world, where the United States became the worst terrorist nation on the planet after World War II, going and enforcing and propping up dictators that did what they were told, and bringing down dictators that bucked the system. What was the system? The system was world enslavement by the international bankers to the Vatican, to this idea of divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And it has gone on and on through almost everyone that would be listening's lifetime. My lifetime, your lifetime. I was born right after the Second World War, the year after the war ended. 1946. And most everyone that's listening has probably been born after that, although I do have some people that are older than I am. Most of the people that listen are younger. We have been enslaved, and we didn't even know it. But 9/11 was a wake-up call for humanity, as we realized the enormity of what these people were willing to do to enslave the world. They were willing to kill their own people as they plotted against the people of the world to enslave us all with martial law and to impose their iron fist, their steel-toed boot plunged down upon the human face. They wanted to do this forever and ever so that they could sit as gods and rule this world and laugh all the way to the bank. But it failed because the people awakened. And Iceland sets the mark, sets the example for the rest of the world. As a government, listen to me, as a government of honest people, brought sanity back to their nation by forgiving the insane debt that isn't even real, this paper debt that was created by the international bankers and the previous government. You notice that they put on the bench, which means they took them to court, the politicians and the bankers. And if they were going to look at it really closely, the attorneys and the judges need to be put on the bench as well. The courts need to be cleaned up. Read the signs of the time. You've watched as now I guess it's into the thousands of bankers that have resigned, or people that are the heads of financial institutions. The gig is up. The game is over. This death pledge that they have held over the world's population is coming to an end. This is the most important sign of the times. Now, as part of the Republic, one of the main things that the Republic has emphasized and done from its onset, and you notice the Drake people and the people that don't put it, that are just setting themselves free, to hell with everybody else. They're just setting themselves free without any government to be put in its place. Iceland has a government in its place that's helping to bring these changes to the people, to benefit the people. That's what a republic does. It sets the people free. It is a structure designed by servants of the people to set the people free from the bondage and ultimately to educate all of us into how we were enslaved and to show us how not to be enslaved again, which is by knowing and taking action. Knowing the truth that sets us free and taking action. And this is what the republic, Tim Turner's republic, that so many people in this country and around the world have been told to hate, that they're false, and had stones thrown at them. One of the main things, and one of the things that we've done here in Florida, is to educate people regarding mortgages. Mortgages are unlawful instruments. They are invalid contracts, null and void. They don't exist. The banks do not have money to lend the people or governments. They don't have the money. Everything in our monetary system around the world, folks, it's not just here, but around the world, has been a debt instrument, not something of actual value. We've been dealing in the negative. A debt is a negative value. It is something that is owed, and we have been debt slaves to the international bankers, to its attorneys, to its judges, to its politicians and its priests around the world, as they have divided and conquered, divided and conquered, divided and conquered. That has been their game plan all along, to divide and conquer so that they could sit as supreme lords of the land while everyone else served them. The whole structure of government was turned upside down, and we've witnessed it, which is why so many people hate even the word government. I don't need to be governed. Well, until we all grow up, and the human race by far has not grown up yet, but until we grow up, we need to be governed. Just as a child needs to have security provided for it in its early stages so that it doesn't hurt itself, he or she. Okay? It needs protection. And that's the job of government. An honest government serves its people. Above all else, Ron, free them. Tut's message. Free them. The flame of freedom is burning, and if you pay attention, you can see it burning in the hearts of people all over the world. We saw it come alive last year, beginning in Egypt and spreading through the whole Mediterranean region, all around southern Europe and the Middle East, as people took to the streets, and finally in fall it made it to the United States. But the Republic was working on that. People that I'm associated with and rub elbows with were part of that, which is why it so annoys me that Drake is getting all the glory, and that's not even the real name of a person. It's a pseudonym. It's a false name. And this Freedom Reigns people that are talking about freedom, they're talking about freedom by attacking the very people that have been working to set people free and saying that they're invalid. They're invalidating the efforts of thousands of people that have been creating an actual interim government to take over when the criminal government falls in the United States. And believe me, that will ripple around the world, because the United States has been the enforcer. It has been the military arm through NATO and through these other international military organizations of enforcing the will of the bankers on the people. They have not just bought people's hearts and souls, they have bought the souls of nations, of nation states, if you will. But we're going to restore the republic that takes care of its people and provides the structure necessary so that the people can learn and grow and create and prosper. We were all made rich. We were born with an inheritance that is wealthy beyond measure, but we didn't know it. We were ignorant. So this system, this matrix was set up from their point of view, from the leader's point of view. It was set up so that they could be in the driver's seat, so that they could be in control. Just like our ego wants to be in control of our individual lives, they could be in control of people. They could control others. But from the divine perspective, it was part of the awakening. It's always part of the awakening. We've got to realize that we're debt slaves before we can be free from the debt. That the debt isn't real, but we thought it was real. That's why we worked so hard. We thought we had to pay back all this stuff which was ours by right. And a lot of people don't like that because the conservatives, they want to maintain this illusion of wealth. The conservatives in the United States, the Republican Party mostly, but not only. They wanted to maintain the system because it gives them benefits, and they don't want people getting handouts for doing nothing. We were born rich and our inheritance was stolen. It's not giving something for nothing. Now, granted, the socialistic structure has induced laziness and apathy on the part of people that receive, because the government is corrupt and doesn't educate the meaning of things. And the church has gone along with that. Actually, the church was the one that started it, probably. The Roman Church, the Vatican, that sits over religions. Even Islamic religion was created by the Roman Church, according to some people's story. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not saying, but it's possible. Now, I'm not saying they created Hinduism or Buddhism, but yet all of the world's religions ultimately taught a lie. Taught a lie in the way that they presented things, or they made the truth, they perverted the truth just enough to make it not true. Anyway, if you read the signs of the times and you look at the internet and what's going on, it's still not in the mainstream media much yet, but more and more and more we are seeing the collapse of a system of enslavement where we literally have a death pledge. We have been mortgaged. Our world and our property and everything has been mortgaged to criminals who actually have awakened us to the injustice so that we can be liberated and finally set free. My prayer is being answered as I hold the globe in my hands, imaginary right now. Set the people free. It's the cry of the human heart. It's my prayer to God, to Great Spirit, to all that is, that we will have a new birth of freedom and create structures that will enhance, enrich, and enlighten the entire world. Namaste. Namaste.